Our aim in the era of electric mobility was to create the most beautiful car ever designed at Audi. The basis for good design is of course the proportions. And the proportions of the e-tron GT are simply perfect. Quattro is one of the original genes in our DNA, and it will be still there in the future too. We have designed muscles all over four wheels in a way that has never been realized like this before. The aerodynamics of an electric car are critical as they help to extend the range, and we have really made it into a striking design theme. The special thing about the Audi e-tron GT is that GT in its name really does stand for Gran Turismo. For me, a GT is first and foremost a very aesthetic car. It is actually a sports car, but it differs from a super sports car in that it offers more comfort and more space. It is a GT with dramatic proportions, but I can sit in it very comfortably, and that is a sign of good design. The perfect combination of high aesthetics and great functionality. The Audi e-tron GT really is by far the most attractive and beautiful car that I have ever designed.
This is the all-new Audi e-tron GT. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to be here today to present to you the exterior design of this car. Good exterior car design is always based on perfect proportions. The e-tron GT has brilliant proportions, and this ends up in an overall height of just 1.39 meters. You could call the exterior design almost a Quattro sculpture. We have no other car in our lineup with such huge muscles on top of all four wheels. From 100 meters away, you will clearly see it's an Audi, and in the same time you see it's electric. For the first time, we bring the evolution of this inverted face onto the road. Inverted face means for us, we covered our well-known single frame, brighten it up and put it into a black mask. What is fantastic is that this exterior has also a fascinating interior.
The e-tron GT interior is defined by two aspects, sportiness and also comfort. Sportiness is achieved by a strong driver focus that makes you feel like you are really sitting in a cockpit. Spaciousness is achieved by taking the volume of the interior and organizing them in horizontal layers, giving you a sense of how wide this interior is.
So color and trim is not only about exterior color or pigment, it's not about leather, it's not about textile, it's the combination that we have to put together. So the e-tron GT was really a challenge for us. We developed a completely new textile. It was done with this combination of three natural colors, so there is no chemic inside. It's completely recyclable, and we reuse the rest of the weaving of the textile. So this is really our definition of sustainability for the future.
The rear view is actually my favorite perspective for the e-tron GT because you can see this slim cabin which sits on this bold body. This is just highly attractive. One level lower, you will recognize our typical light band, which you know from Audi. But this time it's very three-dimensional and it has a quite strong segmentation. Now I have to complete that this edge, in combination with the huge diffuser, the air curtains on the front and the aerodynamic wheels, help us to bring the drag coefficient down. To sum it up, in my personal opinion, the e-tron GT is the most attractive car Audi ever built.
Well, essentially, it was very simple. We followed the principle form follows function. which means that in extremely interactive and close collaboration with our designers, we develop the surfaces of the vehicle so that they have an aerodynamic function, but also an aesthetic function. We achieved this result in two ways. First, we ensured that the basic shape of the vehicle is such that a minimum amount of lift is generated. The second major feature is that we have 3 different active aerodynamics measures which allow us to calibrate the lift balance of the vehicle depending on the driving configuration. Well, the aerodynamics highlights of the e-tron GT are manifold, but if I had to name 2, they would be, first of all, the outstanding drag coefficient of 0.24, which I think is very, very good for a class of vehicle of this type. The second aerodynamic highlight is that through the various active measures that we brought into the vehicle, we were able to give our colleagues from the styling department as much freedom as possible to create a very, very aesthetic exterior design. It's very, very true that teamwork is essential when doing aerodynamics development. It's basically what we do every day. And a nice anecdote that I have is that when we were doing the aerodynamics optimization of the rear surface of the e-tron GT, we had the head of our lighting design department, Cesar Montada, in the wind tunnel with us doing the optimization simultaneously together with the aerodynamicist. Aeroacoustics are indeed extremely important for a Gran Turismo of this type. We paid a lot of attention to the glazing concept, to the ceiling concept, and also used an optimized wing mirror in order to achieve the top results that we did for this vehicle. Even though I'm an engineer, finishing a vehicle project like this is in fact an emotional moment. What's particularly impressive for me is that we were able to achieve an outstanding drag coefficient in combination with a beautiful exterior design. And that's really something very, very important.
The e-tron GT stands exactly for that what we love at Audi Sport. A maximum of daily usability combined with intelligent performance in just a beautiful design. Of course, the RS e-tron GT is a high-performance Gran Turismo, so we have fantastic driving data. For example, acceleration from 0 to 100 in just 3.3 seconds. But in terms of electric driving, there's another dimension of high performance, charging. And the e-tron GT is able to recharge around 100 kilometers in just 5 minutes. The RS e-tron GT is focused on a maximum of driving performance. To give you an example, the RS e-tron GT always comes with a higher standard equipment. For example, the adaptive air suspension, the Audi carpet braking system, or the electrically controlled rear axle differential look. Of course, the RS e-tron GT has much better driving and performance figures. For example, the acceleration from 0 to 100 in just 3.3 seconds, or the top speed of 250 kilometers per hour. The e-tron GT customers are highly demanding, performance-oriented car enthusiasts who value sustainability, progressive design, and progressive technique. Most of them are highly educated, middle-aged, and have a high monthly income. We also think that they can afford more than just one car. In terms of performance, they prefer a very strong but also smooth acceleration, kind of intelligent performance. And they have passion for details and a maximum of precision. The Audi e-tron GT comes with an 800-volt system and a maximum charging power of 270 kilowatt. That allows us to recharge the e-tron GT from 5 to 80% in just 22.5 minutes. Very important to realize that fast charging time is our intelligent thermal management system with 4 different cooling circuits. It's just fascinating to sit into the seats in a very low seat position, like a tailor-made suit, the materials, the feeling of the steering wheel, of course the fascinating acceleration, and for me it's always to be a step ahead.
The basis for good design are proportions. And the proportions are defined by the package. And the package and the proportion of the e-tron GT are simply perfect. Honestly speaking, the biggest challenge has been to integrate the huge battery pack in the vehicle and to come up with an overall height which is less than an Audi S7. So with the e-tron GT we combine two worlds. Sportiness on the one hand, comfort on the other. This car offers space for 4 people. It's a 4-seater, 4 doors, and this is a modern interpretation of a classical Gran Turismo. So we combine extremely sporty proportion with the comfort of a 4-seater. I would say that the Audi e-tron GT is the new brand shaper for Audi. It's our highlight in our portfolio. And personally for me, I'm working for many years already as a professional designer. I did many cars with my team, but the e-tron GT is by far the most attractive car I designed in my career. The Audi e-tron GT embodies the next level in our design language. That means for interior and exterior design. With the Audi e-tron GT we combine on one hand performance and sustainability. This is visible in exterior design by these aerodynamic features like air curtain, flush rocker, this sharp edges, huge diffuser in the rear end. And this is improving the aerodynamics and with this the range. In interior this is getting visible by the leather-free interior. For the first time we offer in the Audi e-tron GT a leather-free interior. That means all the carpets are made from recycled PET bottles and the seats cover is made from recycled fabric and PET bottles. So this is for the first time we offer a really sustainable approach at Audi. The detail at the Audi e-tron GT which I like most is the rear Quattro muscle. This huge, almost half-meter muscle, which is shaped very dramatic. And this is my favorite detail. And it has been a big challenge to realize this in metal, a fender like this. The Audi e-tron GT offers 9 different exterior colors, which you combine with different leather colors, different stitching, and with fabrics, recycled fabrics. My favorite color for the Audi e-tron GT is tactical green, and this in combination with this recycled fabric. This visualizes our progressive and sustainable approach.
You have very special challenges when designing an electric car that has to be also sporty, because you have different aerodynamics, you have a different layout in total, but we managed to turn this around into advantages. So we managed to design a very low car which still has all the Audi DNA, and that was the strong point about this project. At the front we still have our Audi face. We still have our single frame. On the side and the general proportion we still emphasize the Quattro and the low center of gravity and a very puristic design, very typical for Audi. For me as a designer, the important part about the e-tron GT is that it is a very consistent design. Everything comes together as one. The front, the side, the back, in whole of its proportion, it comes just together so well. That's why I think it's a very good result that we have here. The chocolate side of the e-tron GT is definitely the back for me, because you can really feel the sculpture, the tension between the surfaces, and how the volumes are really pure and strong. This is definitely my favorite view.
The route is being calculated.